All right, it's time for another edition of You Make the Call.
IBM presents You Make the Call.
It's 3rd and 14 for the Vikings in the first quarter on their opening drive. Sam Darnold drops back to pass. What does he do? Does he A, stand still and get sacked? B, stand still and get strip sacked? C, check down to Laquan Treadwell? Or D, calmly drop back, throw a perfect pass beyond the first down marker? You make the call. The answer, of course, is D.
O'Neal the block. Darnold to the air. Caught on the play. Grabbed by Naylor.
This is something we almost never saw with our prior starting quarterback picking up these long third downs. You see a lot of that these days. Sometimes even with his feet, sometimes with his arms, and sometimes it's because of a great play by a great receiver. I want to start again with the Dirty Darnold plays of the week, the Dirty Darnold Awards, where Darnold just was doing things we haven't seen before. First quarter, 3rd and 1. Darnold drops back. Nobody's open. He escapes the rush. Gets a long run for a first down. Kind of dirty. Filthy. Gross. I love it. 4th quarter, after Jefferson made that amazing sideline catch, Darnold drops back. Under pressure, just as he's throwing, he gets hit, completes it to Jordan Addison for 18 yards. First down. Threw up in my mouth. It was so dirty.
Oh, sassy.
Now, when you look at Darnold, he wasn't perfect. He's far from perfect, just as Jordan Love was far from perfect. We don't need perfection. Even though the Vikings started with a big lead and they gave up most of that lead, this wasn't like a classic Vikings collapse. You know, it wasn't like the momentum shifted and then it was just completely snowballing from there. I mean, there was the muff punt, but then, you know, the Vikings got the ball and were moving just fine, and then Darnold threw that INT in the red zone. The Vikings kind of were moving the ball okay in the second half. They just had a couple turnovers. But even when Green Bay came back to within 28-22, Vikings moved the ball right down the field. And then when they got the ball again on the turnover at the end, they moved the ball, got into field goal range, got to within, a half yard of picking up on 4th down and ending the game. They just couldn't quite make that one play to really put it away. Some things that I noticed. Okay, the Vikings kind of kept moving the ball. They kind of are able to keep moving the ball. Even when it seems the momentum is shifting, they don't just give up momentum. They're able to kind of bring momentum back by moving the ball or with the defense forcing a turnover. They're picking up these long third downs where they slipped up in the second half. They weren't picking up the short third downs or the 4th and inches. That's where, in these rivalry games, you got to get that extra yard, that extra half yard. That kind of kept the game interesting. But there does seem to be this year, in addition to the picking up the long third downs, which they haven't done in past years with Kirk Cousins, fewer negative plays, particularly in the run game. Dalvin Cook for -3, Dalvin Cook for -2. For the most part, it's running downhill, running in space, just consistently picking up yards and helping drives keep going. Screen pass was also really good. I think I counted 4 good screen passes in the first half. And I'm like, oh, good. We're going to see more of this. And then in the second half, I saw the obligatory dump-off screen to the tight end that probably would have gotten a touchdown if they'd run it to Aaron Jones. But, Oliver got, I think, 8 yards. So whatever. Screens are good this year. Darnold's mobility is really underrated and really impressive. Not just his ability to run for yardage, but just sidestep the rush. Just subtle things where he just kind of moves a little, steps back a little in a way that Kirk Cousins never would. Kirk Cousins would just stand there, and if the rush was getting pushed back into him, he'd just stand there and get his guy pushed back into him and get sacked. Darnold moves subtly, like a quarterback who's been playing it for 20 years ought to be able to. But we did see another red zone interception from Darnold. Not helpful. Second time he's done it this year, and just both times the Vikings have momentum. They're leading. They have a chance to put up more points. It's just so unnecessary to take a chance in that situation. And if he doesn't throw that INT, at a minimum, they probably get a field goal. They go up 31 to whatever it was going to be at that time. Different game, I think. And so, but I just don't want to be too hard on him because the good far outweighed the bad. And even the fumble he had, he got really, kind of cheap shotted on the previous play. And I think that affected the follow-up play. I think Darnold is doing really well. I like watching him play, and if he makes a mistake, I can forgive him because he makes so many other plays. The main conclusion is that the Vikings are still an offensive team. The pass defense is too awful too often. Just leaving guys so open. Allowing, that final drive where Love just basically just had to throw it up 3 times and they get a touchdown in like a minute. They don't have enough pass rush to overcome that. Lack of talent, lack of scheme, whatever it is in the pass defense is going to be a concern and a problem. So the Vikings are going to have to find a way to outscore people. And with Jefferson, Addison, Darnold, Aaron Jones, and if they get Hawkinson back, maybe they can. But generally, when you have to outscore people, you end up not being able to outscore somebody in the playoffs. So. Anyway, our awards for this week, the Deja Vu Award.
And Deja Vu.
Have we not met before, monsieur?
I don't think so.
Goes to a pass Darnold threw to Jordan Addison, which looked pretty much identical to, I think it was Kirk Cousins' final touchdown pass of last year at Lambeau. I mean, almost exact same distance, exact same trajectory, exact same receiver, exact same part of the field. Everything was pretty much the same, it seemed. Maybe that's a sign that this is going to be the season we hoped it would be last year before Cousins got hurt. The Summer of George Defense Award.
I proclaim this the Summer of George!
Apparently, your body was in a state of advanced atrophy due to a period of extreme inactivity.
That of course, goes to Harrison Smith. Was that third Packers touchdown after the Darnold fumble where Harrison Smith I don't know what that was. I mean, you're a man. Any man, I think, could do better than that effort. But he sensed the momentum shifting. He's like, okay, I'm going to just let them score, and then they're going to relax. The sphincters will just kind of open up. And what happened next? Packers offense committed 2 turnovers. Job well done, Harrison Smith. Summer of George Defense. The Kevin Harlan Award for announcer who's trying way too hard. The winner was Vikings got an interception. I don't remember who it was who got the interception. But on the return, Kevin Harlan just went ballistic. He's like,
Gets a block from Harrison Smith!
gets a block from Harrison Smith. It's like,
Gets a block from Harrison Smith!
that was only marginally more effort that Harrison Smith gave on that play compared to when he just whiffed on that attempt to tackle the guy in the touchdown. It's like,
Gets a block from Harrison Smith!
so little effort. It was almost Summer of George blocking.
Gets a block from Harrison Smith!
The award for an announcer I wish was there to do play-by-play on my wedding night, that goes to Kevin Harlan. Oh my gosh. The way he sells things, these horrible efforts, these disappointing efforts.
Gets a block from Harrison Smith!
If only he were there on my wedding night,
Gets a block from Harrison Smith!
I could have used him, Especially when she was lying there asleep all night in her bed, just
Gets a block from Harrison Smith!
maybe build me up a little. The Moab sighting. The Moab? The mother of all prevents.
A glimmer of hope left for the Eagles. There's Ertz all alone in the middle of the field.
That would have been that last touchdown drive for the Packers where I don't know, just lay back and let them score in a minute. Just put a bunch of defenders out in the secondary covering nobody. I don't know, maybe they'll just drop it. Mother of all prevents. The award for a ref who didn't get the memo. That was where a ref called pass interference on a Packers defender at Lambeau. It's like, no, you don't do that. There is no such thing as pass interference against a Packers defender in Lambeau. It's not a thing. He's fired. The Greg Joseph impression for a guy who couldn't make a kick to save his life. That's the Packers kicker. Don't know his name. Not going to look it up. Missed 2 kicks. A short one, 37 yards off the right upright. That's very much a Greg Joseph special. And then I think a 49-yarder, which I think was also wide right. So he had the wide right thing down pat. I don't know if it would have made a difference in the game. Maybe it does, but maybe it changes how other things play out. So I don't think that's the difference in the game. But it didn't help. Didn't help the Packers. So in the end, it was more stressful than it needed to be. The Vikings should have probably won by more than they did. But at the same time, both teams made a lot of mistakes. A lot of turnovers on both sides. A lot of woulda, shoulda, couldas on both sides. So I think it's just weird how the Vikings got out to that massive lead. And it was a little bit of the law of averages, tightening the game up in the second half. I just don't think it was the same type of collapse we typically have seen in the past. But with that past defense, we are capable, I think, of a collapse like that. But our offense is able to move that ball more consistently this year to take momentum back when we need it. 4-0. Okay, next week. Okay. I will be actually in Washington, D.C. over the weekend. I'm never at home, it seems. I will be at the Washington-Cleveland Browns game in the front row, section 132 in the end zone at whatever that Washington Stadium is called these days. Probably wearing my Cool Ranch Doritos shirt. So look for me in my blue Cool Ranch Doritos shirt, front row of the end zone. Washington versus Cleveland next week. Dirty Darnold. All the way.
For people like us, in places like this, we need all the hope